Hi, and welcome to another one of our Tugger webinars. I'm Craig, one of the co-founders of Tugger, and I've got Nicholas Tyndall and Gabor Tolgesi with me today. Today, we're going to be focusing on sort of like the basics of Power BI and how you can sort of get your data from HubSpot into Power BI and start reporting on it. Nicholas is going to talk you through how to get set up with Tugger and how to get that data into the Tugger platform so that they can then be published up to Power BI. Gabor is going to show you a little bit on the actual Power BI desktop. So he's going to show you how you can create some sort of custom graphs around using properties from HubSpot, in terms particular the custom properties. And I'll take you through a bit of a walkthrough of the reports that we have that we offer free, and I'll sort of show you how you can get the best you can out of those reports in terms of things like, you know, dashboards, particular mobile dashboards and things like that. So I'm just going to hand you over to Nicholas, who's going to talk you through the setup of the Power BI.
Thank you, Craig, and hello everyone. Can you see my screen? Just to confirm.
Yeah, Nicholas, we can hear.
After you've gone through the sign-up process, shown screenshot here, and you've gone through the authorization to access Tugger, and you'll be presented with this screen here. Now you can either use the Access Tugger or the My Tuggers or Tugger option, and it will still bring you through to this particular screen because you haven't yet added any Tugger integrations. So you'll click on the HubSpot Add This Tugger. And after a few moments, you'll be presented with the screen here. You'll enter a name that makes sense to yourself. For historical data, you'll go back as far as you think you need to get useful information out of it. But bearing in mind, your first tug will take longer and you'll store more rows of data within our data warehouse. I'm just going to use a month just for our demonstration purposes. How often data should be pulled can be left at the default of an hour, but you can change it if you wish to. And then you'll authorize access to HubSpot. If you aren't already signed in, you'll be asked to sign in. Otherwise, just choose the account and that should authorize everything. Once that's gone through its process, you'll be redirected back to Tugger. The screen there that briefly showed up, it doesn't always appear when authorization is required, but sometimes it does, and it just automatically goes through as it does then. You'll then come to this page, and in a few moments, maybe a couple of minutes, it will change to tugging. Once that's done, you'll go to the analytics setup page and use this data here, this information here, to download it to Power BI Desktop. Now, as this hasn't yet completed its tug, but as you see, it has actually started, we can't use this one yet. So in the great tradition, I'm going to use one I prepared earlier. Once you have tug integration set up, under My Tuggers, you'll see whatever there are there. So we're going to choose the HubSpot View Details. And you'll see various information under the summary page with regards to how many rows tugged, how long it tugged, and when the next one is due. Under the Analytics Setup page, that will contain the information you need to import it into Power BI Desktop before publishing it to Microsoft's Power BI service. Now you can, when you download the HubSpot report, you can open it here directly in Power BI Desktop. That's probably one of the best ways of doing it. It's more straightforward. Alternatively, you can open up Power BI, close the splash screen, and then go to File, Import, and Power BI Template. But either doing it from the browser or double-clicking on the pbit file is quicker, and you don't get the splash screen, and you just get a little pop-up that requests the OData URL. So copy that into there. If you haven't loaded this particular integration previously, which is likely, you'll be presented with this OData feed pop-up. You'll need to change it to basic. The drop down, you want to match the level with the one above. If you don't do, it's likely to still work, but sometimes it does cause issues. And as you get more integrations or reports loaded in, it's possible you may have more than the one option there. So just make sure that they do actually match. And then it's just a case of copying the authentication details using the handy copy tool provided. Once you've copied those across, click on Connect. That OData feed should disappear, and the refresh window that's behind it should reappear. It can take a few seconds. It does vary how long it takes, but it's not usually that long. The refresh pop-up here can take quite a few minutes to process. It does depend how much data you have. As I've only got some test data for the example, it should only take a few seconds, certainly less than a minute to load. And you'll notice that figures come across. Those can be in kilobytes, they can be in megabytes, depending on how much data there is. It is possible you'll get an error in there that relates to Power BI loading, and we do have documentation on the website that helps you resolve that issue. Once it's loaded up, you can save the report directly, or you can click on Publish, and that will ask you to save. You'll notice the bottom of the screen here, which I'm not going to go through. There are various tabs and tabs. When you're ready, you click on Publish and save the document. Give it a name that makes sense to yourself. And after a few moments of working on it, another pop-up will appear. Now, there are various workspaces here for me to select. If, for instance, I hadn't yet set one up, there would only be my workspace available there. And you could publish it to my workspace, but I wouldn't recommend that. What I would suggest doing is going to Microsoft's Power BI service, which I'm already logged into here. And what we can do, click on Workspace. Workspace is there. Create a workspace. And save it. It's now moved me to that particular workspace. Now you can add people to this so they can have access to these reports. You can allow them to view the reports. As I set up this web space, I'm automatically added. And for instance, I could add Gabor and assign him a level you may just want someone to be able to view them or anything up to complete access, and then just add them. Once that's done, you can go back to Power BI and send the info to that workspace. If you set up the workspace after publishing, you would have to close the window down and open it again so the workspace appears. Then you select it, that pop-up appears. Once it's completed, a link will appear in there that you could follow and open the report, as you can see. Alternatively, we can navigate to the browser, refresh the page, and it displays the report we've just published. You'll notice there are two aspects. There's the report itself, which we'll go into in a moment, and then this is the data set behind the report. It provides the information from our data warehouse with all your data. It's not actually your data, but it just provides that information. Now, you'll notice here, next refresh is not applicable, but it has got refresh, and that's because it's just been uploaded. You can manually refresh it here, and if we try that, it will actually fail, which is because there are data source credentials missing. So we would go through to, sorry, I'll just go through here to the schedule refresh. And as you can see here, it's highlighted. We need to make sure that these details are set up. We'd select basic, and with the privacy level, obviously that's down to yourself, but I would expect you to be using organizational to keep your data private. I normally skip the test connection, but there's no need to do so. And then we need the information that we used previously. Sign in. You shouldn't have to save it, and I wouldn't recommend it. Once the data source credentials have been set up, the schedule refresh should become available. We can turn it on, and we can add a time how often we want Power BI to check the Tugger account for data. You can add up to 8 times for the Pro account. I believe there's about 48 on a higher level. Just select the time, and when that time comes, and apply. When that time comes by, they'll be available. Now you can see the next refresh will go at 4 o'clock, and if we were to do a manual refresh, you can now see that it lets us, because we've set up the credentials and we've got the in progress screen there. So now let's have a look at the report we published previously. You'll notice it viewed it slightly differently than previously, with the tabs at the bottom, some of which have got an eye that's hidden. This is just the pages that you can access and deal with as you wish. My colleagues Craig and Gabor are going to be going through that process more. And obviously, if anyone has any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. And I'll now pass over to Craig.
Thanks, Nicholas. I'll just take over the screen a second. I should be able to see.
Okay, Craig.
Hey. Right, so everyone should be able to see the Power BI space. As Nicholas mentioned, the reports obviously get published into the Power BI service, and if I go into the workspace we've got here, then I've obviously got the same thing that Nicholas has just shown. If I go into this deals report, I'm given a number of different pages that appear on the left-hand side. Just take a couple of seconds to load. So the first one I'm presented with is the deals tab. On here, I can look at, right, okay, how many deals have I got that are open? Things like, how many deals are won, how many have been lost, what's the revenue in those open deals? Again, what's the revenue of the won deals? How much revenue has gone in lost deals? And you'll see we've got various different types of charts on here. So things like, looking at revenue over time. I've even got a forecast of the deals based on what I've got in the pipeline. And then we've got various stuff around salespeople as well. So if I want to focus on just one salesperson, I would look at Peter Franklin here. I can just click on Peter Franklin, and then the whole of the display will then update as well. So now I can see, right, what his forecast of deals looks like. I can see, what his win rate is on those deals. So I can see there he's got a 78% win rate. And again, I can see what level of deals are open there. So I can see he's got 0.61 million opening deals, and I can see what his win rate is like over time as well. So is he getting better? Is he getting worse? Things like that. If I wanted to drill down into more information about Peter Franklin as well, I can do that. I simply have to just right click on the graph line and the graph on the chart here, and then I'll get this menu up here. Then I can just click drill through, and one of the reports we've created here provides a drill through. Just have a look at there's two different drill throughs, the deals and then the salesperson. And so if I drill into here now, I can see, right, okay, these are the deals that this person associated with Peter Franklin. I can see what the name of the deal is, the type of the deal, who the company is, what stage they're at, and things like that. If you happen to manage multiple pipelines within your HubSpot installation as well, then they would appear here as well, and then you'd be able to filter those pipelines by those as well. I'm going to move on over onto the Open Deals tab a second. Now, just while I've moved into here as well, it's worth mentioning that on the top we've got this drop-down menu as well, and this appears on all the different report tabs. And here we can set the data range. And again, if I want to filter by the companies that are associated with all these people, then there's a drop down there with the companies in. Again, if I wanted to filter by a salesperson, I can do that there as well. This particular stage is this particular tab is just looking at what deals we've currently got open. So I can see those broken down by stage. If I want to just see all the information about all the ones that are set to contract send, I can either click on here or I can click on the section on the pie chart as well. And when I do that, I'll find that everything else on the display will update. And I can see, right, okay, right, these are the salespeople that are dealing with those deals. This is the revenue by salesperson and that sort of thing as well. And again, if I just click back off of that, it'll bring everything back to normal as well. Everything will start to. You see the little spinning wheel here as everything's changing. Now, another little trick while we're on here is if I want to look at all the open deals, but I'm not interested in this particular person, particularly useful if you've got a salesperson who's leaving and you want to kind of say, well, what impact are going to have on my deals? I can right click on that bar there, and then I'll get an option to exclude. So if I just click on exclude, then what will happen then is all Jane Smith's details will get excluded from this graph, and it will impact all the other graphs on the page as well. Just taking a second to do that. You'll find when you use Power BI yourself, it's a lot quicker. It's just a bit slower because we're running everything over video at the minute as well. So you can see now that she's obviously disappeared off that list and everything else is updated appropriately. If I want to bring her back as well, you've got the filters on the right here. If I just click on that there, then the filters on the right should appear. And then you'll see that you can see right there I've excluded Jane Smith. So if I want to bring her back in, I just click on the X to remove the filter. And again, that's going to bring that data back across. Now, if I go on to the next tab, we have the sales team. On here, this shows a lot more sort of information around the actual salespeople as well. Particularly useful if you're wanting to, I say, find more information out about these people. I won't go into massive detail about this screen, but you can see you can easily filter at the top here as well. So on here you can filter, right, okay, let's look at the won deals. And when I click on that, everything on the screen will update, and I'll be able to see, the number of deals that are basically won, and you'll see these just all changing as we go across as well. So you can see what that's looking like. We've also got the deal pipeline as well. So we've built in some functionality that allows us to kind of look at, what everything's looking like in the pipeline. We've also built something in that tracks the sort of stages that things have gone through as well. So I can say, right, okay, we've had a total number of 66 deals. I can see that 42 of those go to open. From there, they go to appointment scheduled, 11 of those. And then you can see where they go to after that in terms of where they go to by salespeople as well. You can X these things off as well, and you can change all these kind of stuff. So I can filter by, and if I click on qualified to buy here, that's probably, so I probably don't have to X that one off. I can just highlight that stage there and see where they're going. Particularly useful if you want to know, where things are going. And again, you can expand down as well on the graph there to see more information. It's particularly useful if you're trying to work out what sort of route deals are taking. Did they land in particular stages, then get dropped off? How many go through into pipeline stage? You can work out, 10% of them land in, contract sent, 5% land in decision maker bought in, and things like that. And then we've also got another tab here that looks at sort of company analysis as well. So this is showing you deals by company and revenue by company. So you can see here, I'm looking at the top 10 companies here. I've got some deals that have got no company assigned. That's because they're assigned to contacts, so there's no company associated with those. They're purely just contact-based leads. Again, if I want to go and have a look at, okay, well, if we look at Yahoo, I can click on that section there and say, right, well, what's actually where are all those deals sitting? And it will filter those. Again, it'll filter down and show me which salespeople associated with Yahoo. So obviously you've got industry sector breakdowns as well. So if you want to break down by industry sector, you can do that as well. Now, some of the features I want to kind of show you as well around Power BI. So first one I'd like to show you is around sharing this. So you've got a couple of options when you click on the share link. Here, we've got the option to share that via, I can copy the link, I can share it via email, or I can share it by Teams as well. You may not be aware, but you can actually open the Power BI reports inside Teams as well, which can be quite useful if you use Teams a lot. Another useful feature, if you're worried about how many people are actually looking at the reports, are the right people looking at the reports, you've got the 3 dots at the top here. And if you click on there, you'll see there's a menu item here called Open Usage Metrics. If we click on there, then that'll bring up a report that will show me details about who's looked at the report, how many times I've looked at the report, total view. So I can see here that I've looked at the report 9 times, Cabor's looked at it 2 times. You can filter those down by things like report pages as well. So if I want to look at how many people have looked at the deals page, you can click on that, and again that'll filter everything up here, so I can see exactly what's been looked at. Again, so I've seen it 5 times and Gabor's seen that 1 time. So if I just go and move back into the report. The next thing I'd like to show you is you can actually export this as well. So you can export this into PowerPoint, and you can export this into PDF as well. So if you wanted to share that document around with anybody who's not using Power BI, or you want to filter a report down and you want to share that externally, then you can do that. So when this loads back up, I'll have the options on top here. So here you see we've got the export menu. Just simply click on that, and then we'll get the 2 options. And it's just a case of right clicking on PowerPoint or PDF, and it's simple as that, and that'll just download the document to your machine. If you want to make comments on these graphs as well that you want to share with people, so you decide, okay, you're not happy with the figure on here. So I would basically click on the graph, or hover over the graph. It's not, and you'll see we've got these icons here. If I now click on the three dots, I will get click on the three dots, and a menu should appear below this. I think I'm going to just turn off my camera because we're having. I'm just going to turn off my camera because it's affecting the speed of this at the minute. So I can click on add comment, and then that'll bring up a bar at the top at the right. So I can start to type a comment in there. So if I want to send a comment to Gabor, I can just start typing, and it should bring up Gabor, and whatever I want to put that through with the numbers, and just post that on there. Then Gabor would get a notification on his Power BI installation. Those notifications would appear at the top here, and you'd click on that and it'd show you the notifications. And also you'll be able to see the comment on the actual chart as well. You'll see that popped up there. So if I click on that, that'll then bring up the comment on the right, which you can see there. Now, I've showed you how it's going. So another thing that you can do as well is if I right click on this chart here again, and I'll get the menu that shows analyze. This only works on bar charts, does this feature. And if I click on find where the distribution is different, what should happen now is that will start to have a look at things that are particularly driving particular things within this graph. So here it's looking at, okay, it's telling me that computer software is equated to 23.8% of the records that have got deals. So what this means is basically you've got the ability to get lots and lots of other insights on your data to work things out you may not know. So because obviously we've got no filter on here that tells us, right, what we're looking at by industry sector, but by using that extra analyze feature, you can find out quite quickly that actually a lot of these, the majority are coming from computer software, automated retail, and then the rest are all distributed across other stuff. Again, you can see showing me things by location as well. Again, there's no graphs here on location, so you've got that. And it's a great way not only to just spot these trends, but to also think of other ideas for graphs that you may want to add in. So if you want to add in, charts around, okay, I want to have a breakdown by deals by location or deals by industry sector or whatever it is, then it's a great way of just figuring out what else you may want to add in. The other great feature is the ability to set up dashboards. So obviously you've got all these different reports here, but it might be a case of, well, I've got all these, but what do I want to see on a daily basis? I want to be able to go in and say, right, there's 4 or 5 key graphs that I'm really interested in. And when I go in, I want to see those. So I'm just going to show you how you would set one of those dashboards up. Let's close that down. So again, if I hover over this graph, it should give me an option to pin that. And what you'll see is there's an icon here that's got basically a picture of a pin. If I click on that, it's going to ask me which dashboard I would like to pin that to. And here I've got an option of creating a new dashboard, or I can pin into an existing one. So I'm just going to call it my dashboard. I'm going to pin that onto there. I'm also going to pin this graph on here. At the minute you'll see it says pin to dashboard, and there's an option of create mobile layout or go to dashboard. At the minute I'm just going to ignore that because I want to pin a few more things to the dashboard. So I'm going to pin this graph here as well, and I'm going to add that to the existing one. And then I'm also interested in this figure up here. I'm just going to get rid of that. So again, you can pin this figure as well. And I'm also going to put that onto the dashboard as well. So I could click on go to dashboard here, but I just want to show you where that sits. If I go back to the webinar workspace here, where we had the reports listed, I can see my dashboard is available here. If I go in and click on that, then I'll see all the different elements that I've added onto there. They should load up in a second. So I can see the two elements on the dashboard here. I can rearrange these as well. So if I want to show that one before that one, I can do. If you've got more elements, you can do that as well. The other thing that you can do on here as well is if I go to edit, I can edit the mobile layout as well. So if you're not aware, there is you can get the Power BI app, which is free from Microsoft to download to your phone. And from within that app, you're able to hook that up, basically log in with your Office 365 account and view the reports from there as well. And it's quite good to have dashboards on there because they're a lot more user-friendly on the phone. And again, if I want to move these around or shrink them down or whatever, and I only want to show them to be half the size, or I want it to be that size, I can do that. And that basically just happens in real time, does that. So if I go back to web layout, it should take us back to there. Now, one thing I want to show you about these sort of stats as well is that on these, we're able to set up alerts as well. So if I want to know when that number drops below a certain value or goes above a certain value, I can create a rule for that. Just click on add alert rule. And on here, I can give that title, that alert a title. I can say the condition, whether it's above or below a certain number. And then after that, I can either have it once every hour or once every 24 hours. And by default, it'll send a notification into the menu here, or I can have it send me an email as well. Right, I'm now going to hand over to Gabor, who's going to show you a little bit about how you can make some amends to the actual Power BI reports within a desktop application.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. Hello, everyone. Let me just share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
I can see it,
yeah. Yep. So yeah, I'm going to just create a quick graph using a calculated column and going to go through just very quickly Power BI Desktop. In Power BI Desktop, we've got these three views. You can select between the views from the left-hand side. The top one is report view. This is where you edit and build your report. The second one down is the data view. This is where you can see all your data is loaded into Power BI Desktop. And the third one is the model view, where you can actually see the data model. You can create relationships between tables, and that's it basically. I'm going to go back to the data view first because we're going to create a calculated column here. As you might be aware of, might not, in HubSpot there are a few properties tables. There's a property table for companies, deals, line items, and so on. Now these, for example, the company tables, the properties belong to a certain company. As you can see, for each company, I will select just one of the company IDs just to demonstrate. So each company will have loads of properties stored in this table. Some might have values, some might don't have values. They are in there. The useful columns, I think, in here is the actual company ID, because that's how we can map it to an actual company. The name, because we want to know that property's name to filter it on it, and the actual value, because we need the value. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this property annual revenue, and I'm going to pin this value in the companies table. So for each company, I'm going to see this annual revenue. Now for this, I need to remember that there is a company ID which I want to use, and there's a name which I want to use to filter the value, and I would like to select that value column. So I go back to, in the data view still, I select the companies table. I see all the columns in here. I'm going to create a new column quickly. Just click in this icon at the top here. That should bring up It takes a bit of time. So it brings up this line where I can add the formula to create this calculated column. I'm going to call it company annual revenue equal. And what I need to do here, I need to select that value from that properties table, but at the same time, I would like to filter it because I only need that one row which contains the annual revenue, and it's for this company or for each company itself. Now for this, I could just select the value with an inbuilt function called selected values and then pick that value, but because I have to filter it, I need to wrap this with a calculate function. The calculate function, it takes two parameters. The first one is the expression which we want to do, which is selected value, and I would like to select that value from the company properties table, open and close parentheses, and then the second parameter is the actual filter context we would like to create for this select. I need to add a comma, and then in the new line I'm going to apply this filter. For this, there's an inbuilt function as well. You don't have to use it, but because we reach out for another table, I'm going to use the filter function. This one takes two arguments. The first one is the table name, which is we know is the company properties, and the second one is the actual conditions or filters. First of all, I need that name column from HubSpot company properties to be equal with annual revenue, because that's the value in that column. And with the ensign, double ensign, I can apply a second filter, which is going to go out and check the company ID in that table, and it has to match the company ID in this table. So for this, I will use the earlier function, which is an inbuilt function again, and from this company's table, I just need to select the company ID, which is called ID, and I need to close the filter method and need to close the calculate method. Once I hit enter, it should populate my newly created column. It says column at the minute, but it should replace the name of this company annual revenue, which is spelled wrong. Takes some time. Yeah, as you can see, some of them has values, some of them don't have value. It's fine, I think. So for now, I'm going to go back to report view and use this newly created column just to demonstrate how easy it is to create a new graph or add a new graph to your existing report. I'm going to add this to the companies tab, and we'll replace this graph at the top left corner. I'm going to use a clustered bar chart instead of the existing one. Change the view. As you can see, this chart is selected. When the chart is selected, you can see what fields or measures or columns added to that chart. As you can see, on the axis we can see the company, and on the values we can see a deal revenue. To follow these up, you have to go even under this fields pane. As you can see, some of them are ticked. The ones are ticked, the ones are used in the visual. I don't really need these two fields. I'm going to replace them. First of all, I'm going to use a measure, number of deals. Just click on the tick, or you can drag and drop to the right place. And also going to use the newly created column, which is under HubSpot company, and it's called company annual revenue. Tick this, That should go to the axis. And as you can see, we can see something there already, which is, it doesn't look really good. So we're gonna just adjust the our formula a little bit just to see it a little bit better. To do this, you can go back to the data view, or you can do it from the report view by selecting the actual column from the table. It brings up this little editor. And what we want to do here, we would like to format this text. Now, there is an inbuilt function called the format function, which you can use. There's a documentation. You can use it to, format a number to a text, or use it for dates, or so on. So many different things you can use it for. What I'm going to use is this currency one. And also, because the numbers are so big, I would like to make it a little bit smaller. So I would like to show something like, if it's over 1 million, then or if it's 1 million, then just show 1 and then the letter M. To do this, I could wrap my calculate function with this format function, but it looks a bit of a mess that way. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna just create a new variable, call it result, and store this calculate function result in that variable. Because I'm using a variable now, and it's not just returning this calculate function, I need to add the return command. And what I would like to return here is the format function. It takes 2 parameters. The first one is the actual value, and the second one is the format string. So here I can just start typing result, comma, and what I would like to use is, as we've seen before, is just a currency. Close it, and with an end sign, I would like to also add the letter M at the end. When I hit enter, it should load and should change some values in our newly created graph. Which I've not done right, because it's the actual full value. So what I can do here, I can just divide the result by 1 million. And that should give me the right value. Now it's still not right, because some of them showing some M's there. Yeah, so to get rid of that M, we could apply an if statement here just before the format. So to do that, you need to start typing if, open parentheses. Now this one takes a logical or a condition as a first parameter, and then the second one is if that's true, and the third one is if that's not true. So first of all, I'm gonna say if. What I would like to check here, if my result is blank, then do something. If it's not blank, then do that format method. So there's an inbuilt function for this as well. Is blank, open parentheses, add the result, variable, close parentheses, comma. At this point, I would like to say an A, comma, and if it's not blank, I would like to just use the format, and I need to close the if statement. Hit enter. It should load the report. Okay, I can close this by clicking the X. And now we can see some some different groups, so it doesn't say M anymore, it says NA, and there's a 1,000 million group as well. It just, the graph itself doesn't look like the others. The easiest way to copy over some kind of designs from the other ones, you have to select the other graph from the top menu, home ribbon, format painter, click on it, and then just copy it over, and that should make it the same, make it look the same. Now with this new graph, we could use the slicers, the filters at the top. We could see the number of deals by company annual revenue, which is, as you can see at the top of the graph, it just doesn't say that. It just doesn't make sense because it's the previous one. Now, as default, Power BI uses these columns or these values, these texts from here. It would just pick the value and would add a word by and then the axis. But because this is a custom text, it won't do it, so we have to do it ourselves. You have to click the this icon here, this format icon, to actually format the visual, and under general you can see the title. I could add another custom text here, but what I would like to use is the inbuilt default, so I can just reset this to default, and as soon as I do that, as you can see, the header changes. I think our graph is ready now. This is what I would wanted to show you. When you select filters, you know, it just works as before. You would only see the won details, or open or lost details. Thank you very much watching. I can pass it back to Craig now.
That's pretty much brings us to the end of the webinar for today. I've answered a few questions that have come in from guys, but yeah, thank you for your time, and you know, hopefully get to grips with the HubSpot Power BI integration. Right, thanks guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.